Dude, this is f***ing weird. What is that? Dude, look how slimy it is. Alright, bro, what the?
Trail cameras don't lie. Hunters, hikers, and researchers are capturing terrifying things hidden in the woods. Creatures no one can explain. These creepy trail cam clips prove one thing. Something is out there, watching us. Trail cams are catching more than just deer. Across North America, strange shapes, glowing eyes, and massive figures are showing up, sometimes just feet away. Unedited, unexplained, forgotten in old SD cards until now. These trail cam captures didn't just shock the internet, they changed what people believe is lurking out there. In 2024, YouTuber Groovy Gavin went looking for Bigfoot. Not just stories. He wanted to know why so many people still believe. His first stop? Willow Creek, California. Bigfoot country. It started with the Patterson-Gimlin footage, that famous 1967 clip. People still argue about it. Gavin met locals, walked the trails, stood where it all happened. The Bigfoot Museum staff told him about the footprints. Huge, deep, found by lumber workers. Too heavy, too detailed to fake. They said the steps showed flexing toes, bending knees, and a walk not like ours. Gavin tried the walk himself. Bent knees, swinging arms. He thought maybe, just maybe, a person could pull it off. He wasn't sure. He kept looking. Experts told him about Gigantopithecus, an ancient giant ape that could fit the Bigfoot size. Could it have survived? Gavin pushed deeper. Roadblocks stopped him from reaching the exact Patterson-Gimlin site. But nearby, he searched the forests, creeks, and snapped trees. Some said storm damage. Some said Bigfoot. Gavin called out. He knocked on trees. Night vision ready. But the woods stayed quiet. Watch this part, right here.
This is just a list of stuff we found on some website. So these probably aren't the most valid, but we gotta try them. We gotta test everything. So this is personally something I wanted to try, which is so we have this video literally of Bigfoot walking by this creek.
Gavin's flashlight cuts the dark, searching. He waits, breath held. Nothing answers. He hit Squatch Fest next, the heartbeat of the Bigfoot world. Witnesses flooded him with stories. Soldiers, campers, hikers, people who swore they saw something huge. One saw 3 figures after a demolition blast. Shapes that didn't move like people. Matt Pruitt told him the truth. The tracks are the key. Gavin met Dr. Jeff Meldrum, a scientist who spent decades on this mystery. Dr. Meldrum said the footprints, thousands of them, aren't just stories. The foot shapes, the depth, the motion, they're real. He's 99% sure Bigfoot exists. Cliff Barackman showed Gavin how to track, where to look, how to spot the difference between human prints and something else. Cliff's casts told their own story. Gavin followed him to fresh sights, eyes sharp. He didn't find Bigfoot, but he found the hunt, the obsession, the community. Then came the boots-on-the-ground moment. Gavin went deep into the forest. Day 1, no signs. Hours of hiking. Snapped trees, yes, but was it wind damage? He wasn't convinced. They pressed on, into thicker woods. Gavin's flashlight flicked across the trail. He scanned for footprints, for signs. The deeper they went, the quieter it got. No wind, no birds, just that feeling, like something was close. See for yourself.
All the experts told us to go, so I'm inclined to believe that there's something here. We're always so ill-prepared for these videos. Look at our shoes. we're actually some idiots.
So we began down a long trail where we found some suspicious footprints.
Is this one right here?
If it's right here,
That looks like a Bigfoot foot.
But the problem was it was next to so many human footprints that I thought just multiple people stepped in the same area. But then we started hearing a lot of weird noises.
I hear a river.
A trail, something off to the side. Gavin stops. He leans in. Heavy prints? Or just the forest playing tricks? The search stretched on. They found broken trees, strange dips in the ground. Gavin's pace slowed. He wanted this to be real. He wanted to win the search. But as hours passed, doubt crept in. They set camp in a deeper spot, the place where others heard calls, the place where tree knocks echoed. Gavin tried it himself. Loud hits against the wood, waiting, listening, hoping.
And we'll just wait to hear something. After the stick broke, we just listened.
He strikes the tree. Silence falls. Time drags. Then, in the distance, a light, faint, glowing. They move toward it, fast. Something crackles nearby. A step? A shuffle? Gavin spins his light. His pulse spikes. He hears something, close. They set 3 camera traps, night vision, motion triggered. 3 Nutella jars as bait, Bigfoot's supposed favorite. The cameras watched the forest all night. Gavin waited. Rain started. Flashlights dimmed. The forest pressed in. Morning came. They grabbed the cameras. 20 videos recorded. Gavin's heart raced. Could this be it? Final check. Watch here.
Headed to the car to go through the footage, and there were around 20 videos that got recorded, so there might be something. All of this research and talking to experts led to this. But before I look at these videos, well, even though the series is called Is Bigfoot Actually Real, I knew I wasn't gonna be able to say yes or no 100% by the end of this. Because not even the Bigfoot experts can say they 100% believe.
99% confident.
I just wanted to see why so many people believe, what the hardest evidence was out there. The videos were hard for me to...
They skimmed through the footage, one by one, clip after clip. Nothing. The cameras caught only the wind, the rain, empty woods. Gavin didn't find Bigfoot, but he found why people believe. The footprints, thousands collected, detailed, consistent. Too perfect to ignore, but maybe too strange to fully accept. He left with no proof, but the question stayed. What if just one sighting was real? What if the forests still hide something? What do you think? Is Bigfoot out there, or is it all just footprints in our imagination? Something was out there. Something left a track. And he almost walked right over it. It happened deep inside the San Bernardino National Forest. No trail, no people. Just a dry creek bed tucked in a canyon. That's where he found it. A single clear footprint pressed deep into the dirt. He stopped, looked around. Silence. The print was fresh, and it didn't make sense. There were other faint impressions nearby, some with possible toe marks, but nothing as sharp as the one he photographed. Watch yourself here.
And I happened to look down. There was a track right at my feet. I'm going through my mind trying to figure out how that could have happened. There were a few other tracks where I could also see toe impressions, but nothing as clear as the photo that I took that I'm about to show you. Let me know what you guys think.
This is where you can see the photo. Toes, shape, depth. A footprint that shouldn't be there. He'd heard people's opinions before. Some said it looked like a human footprint. But to be barefoot in that rough canyon, that far-off trail? Not likely. And this wasn't an easy walk. If you saw where he'd gone, you'd question it too. The terrain was steep. Sharp rocks, dry creek beds, thick cover. Who would hike this barefoot? The San Bernardino National Forest is no small patch of woods. It covers over 800,000 acres. Multiple mountain ranges, thick forests, twisting rivers. Plenty of space to stay hidden. Plenty of water. Plenty of food. Plenty of mystery. And this part of the forest, it felt different. He remembered hiking this side of the highway before. Something about it always felt heavy. Maybe it was the memory of his earlier experience, finding that track when he wasn't even searching. Maybe it was the stories. There's an old one, from the 1970s. A scout troop camping in these same mountains heard something big. Heavy steps approaching their camp. They never saw it, but they heard it. The encounter became one of the most documented sightings in the area. And the footprint he found? Just miles from where that scout troop camped. Play this part.
Of course, I've had people tell me, yeah, that's a human footprint. Yeah, that's what it looks like. For a person to be out where I was walking barefoot doesn't make sense. I'm not saying it's not possible. If I could have taken you guys to where I was at and you seen how I got there, I think you'd be questioning it too.
You can almost feel the connection. As he hiked deeper, something else caught his attention. Fallen trees, fresh. The leaves are still green. Did they fall recently? It looked that way. He half laughed, saying he should probably move before the next one came down. But the unease stayed. Watch this section.
That's crazy. Is it just me, or are these leaves still kind of green? So, did this tree fall not that long ago? Is that what this is?
The vibe was off. Quiet. Too quiet. This wasn't a casual stroll. This was raw wilderness. And this wasn't just one footprint. There were other impressions nearby. Not as clean, but enough to make you stop and think. The track's depth was strange. The ground was dry and hard-packed. When he stepped nearby, he couldn't make a dent. He even jumped. Still, barely an impression. But that mysterious footprint? It sank deep, like something heavy had pressed it in, like something with serious weight. There's something about these forests, something about the way they hold secrets. The more you explore, the more you feel like you're not alone. And sometimes, when you're not expecting it, you find evidence that pulls you in deeper. Watch here.
I can see the car.
So what did he find that day? Was it a human? Possible, but strange. Was it a prank? Maybe. Or was it a trace of something we're still trying to understand? Something that moves through the canyons, careful but not perfect. Something that sometimes leaves a footprint behind. That's the thing about these stories. You either believe them or you don't. But when you're the one standing there, staring at a track that doesn't belong, belief suddenly feels very real. What do you think he found? Would you have kept walking, or would you have followed the tracks? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's figure this out together. It always starts near the river. Every time they come back to this spot, they find something. And this time, it didn't take long. A fresh track, big, wide, toes spread deep in the dirt. 15 inches long, pressed right near the water's edge. Watch this part.
Show you guys the whole length of that. There's one side, other side, and the toe splay is just huge. And because it's going downhill, it probably spread the toes right there to.
And again, you gotta point out that right here is where we actually caught the one that jumped over the creek here.
Yeah, Derek was with me that time.
They've seen this before. Tracks near this river. It's like something keeps coming back. Maybe for water, maybe to cross, maybe for them. A spot where something once jumped the creek, leaving deep prints on both sides. They're back in that same place and the signs haven't stopped. The team first came here after a Bigfoot was filmed deep in the canyon.
Where exactly, I mean, we'd have to go back to the footage, but
Yeah,
it absolutely cleared this
we're in the
creek.
right spot.
I think it was a little bit deeper though. I think the creek was a little bit higher when we actually saw it even, so.
What brought us here the first time was
They followed the water, chasing the same trail that brought them back today. It wasn't a planned stop. They just pulled over and there it was. Massive prints, like something had just crossed. The impact marks were still there. That print didn't wait long. As they pushed deeper, something felt off. A heavy silence wrapped around them. Snap. Fresh breaks. Trees have fallen since their last visit.
for some reason we always find Bigfoot tracks near this river, and this one's Bigfooty shaped. And some really nice toe indentions at the front, and it looks to be about 15 inches in length.
And some trees? They didn't fall on their own. One had been violently twisted, still alive, still rooted, but snapped in a way that didn't fit the wind. They've seen these signs before. They know what this could mean. They found a strange track, not wide, about 5 or 6 inches across, but something about it didn't sit right. Odd shape, toes visible, not a clean animal track, something different. They pressed on, right here.
Right at the beginning of this hike when we were getting all of our gear ready, loud wood knock up here. Not saying it has anything to do with Bigfoot, but you know, they know when you're at your vehicle getting ready to hike. That's usually when we get wood knocks, like it's a warning.
Back near the trailhead, a loud knock, sharp, echoing through the woods. It's a sound they know too well, not claiming anything, but every time they hear that sound, it's right as they gear up. Almost like something's watching, almost like it's a warning. The higher they climbed, the more signs they found. Fresh animal scat, deep scratches in the dirt, like a big cat had just marked its spot.
Well, I mean,
We probably pushed him out of
identical.
we probably pushed him out of his nice cool bedding
I'd
spot.
almost say it's the same damn animals, what I'd say.
Now that's really fresh. It hasn't had a chance to get windswept.
The ground was scraped, still fresh, not even touched by the wind yet. They probably pushed it out. Mountain lions don't usually give up a cool spot easily. Then, thunder. A huge sound rolled from the mountain. No storm, no rain, calm weather. It didn't make sense. It sounded like a boulder falling. But why now? They've been in these mountains long enough to know when something feels out of place. Look here.
Vertebrae of some kind of an animal. Feather. Is it just a coincidence that feather's next to this bone pile?
Other than the bones look like they've been here a whole lot longer than that feather.
Twisted trees, the kind of breaks that stay burned in your memory. Some of them had been fresh years ago. Now they're snapped and rotted, just like the team predicted. These were the same spots where they'd tracked Bigfoot before. The same areas where they'd left cameras, hoping something would return. The patterns keep leading them back. They found bedding spots, grass pushed flat, trees snapped above.
It's still alive though. Not saying Bigfoot did that. That could be weather or boulder related. Maybe a boulder come down this mountain and smushed it. Derek just pointed that out. Look at how violently that was twisted at one point in time.
Almost like something dragged in debris to make a place to rest. It looked too organized to be random. And the shapes? They looked a little too familiar. Reminded them of those old Yeti tracks. Smaller, sure, but similar. And the way the prints hit the slope? It was like only half the foot was used. That's not how a bear moves. That's something else. Watch this part.
You know, I mean, that is all natural. That is still rooted down into the ground and all natural when it come up on this side. It ended up still dead, but I mean, that is just a
part of it's still alive.
Just a funky.
The first branch that goes up
this
is still alive.
Right here. I mean, this is what's the fact that it's still alive. I mean, that's just kind of crazy.
Their cameras, left behind for over a year, still held some juice, just enough to possibly catch something. The trail they found wasn't just one path. It was a web. Animal tracks feeding in from all directions, almost like something had carved out a highway through the woods. Bones turned up nearby, a vertebra sitting under snapped branches, fresh feathers scattered next to old remains.
It's like a bunch of animal trails converge right here.
Yes, a little feeding into a little trailway. But obviously, I'm kind of excited to see what's actually on it.
A feeding spot? Maybe. The bedding, the bones, the twisted trees, the strange tracks. None of it seemed accidental. They've been here before. They'll be back again. Because for some reason, every time they return to this canyon, the signs are waiting for them. What do you think? Were they alone? Drop your thoughts below. Sometimes you head out thinking it'll be just another quiet day. That's what they thought this morning. But this place? It always delivers something strange. The Sasquatch Habitat Investigation Team returned to a drained Oregon reservoir, the same spot where they'd found prints before. The ground was wet, the air crisp, but the rain had paused just long enough for a new search. They weren't alone. Carrie from Lane County Bigfooters joined them, ready to track. The place was calm at first, just human boot prints in the mud, old trails, nothing unusual. But deeper in, things shifted, tracks appeared. A straight line, deep, pressed into the soaked earth. Not booted, not barefoot either, just strange. Watch this part.
Okay, so I was walking along here and saw these tracks that are pretty much all in a straight line here. One right here.
Oh, they're going this way, aren't they?
Yep.
Well, that's where the other ones are going too.
That is. Doesn't look like a boot.
The prints went up a hill. The stride was wide. Old, maybe. But one print had toe shapes at the top edge. Faint, just enough to raise questions. They measured 13 inches. Not fresh, but not from the last visit either. Tracks climbed over small hills, across soft earth, but none clear enough to call definitive. Still, they didn't stop. Reports had come in from nearby. New tracks, tree damage, possible activity.
Friends of ours have found tracks and a lot of tree damage and whatnot, so we're going to go up there and have a look. It's maybe about 10 miles, so we'll go and have a look, but it's kind of up in that area if we don't get snowed out.
The team moved to another location, but heavy snow blocked the mountain road. No way through. They crossed a bridge instead, scanning the riverside. Quiet, beautiful. But then something caught their attention. Later that day, hiking the other side of the river, more tracks, fresh deer prints nearby. But mixed in, larger impressions. Deep.
Carrie's following this little rivulet the other way. She may have seen something, so I'm going to head over there. But even though it's been raining for days, you know, these prints are deep, and you know, here's my footstep. If we even jump on it, I mean, I barely make an impression like these.
Here's mine. Nope.
One print had clear toes, 11 inches. More followed. Left, right, left. A trail heading toward the trees. And then the odd part. The tracks went down into a steep, wet area. barefoot. Who would be down there in winter barefoot? It didn't make sense. The deeper they went, the more they found. Toes showing clearly in the mud. Watch this part.
They're not very big and they're not very far apart.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make sense. Now we got good squish here. Definite toes in that. Man, look at those.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. That's probably the best one we've seen all day.
One print was perfect. Every toe visible. It was smaller than expected, 10 inches across, but the stride didn't match the size. The steps were spaced like something tall had made them. Near the tracks, the team found strange rock circles.
And why go to all the trouble of building this, especially with rocks that are that big? I mean, that rock is huge. I'd never be able to carry that.
They looked like fire rings, but there was no sign of any fire. No burn marks, no wood. Just big, heavy rocks stacked for no clear reason. Watch this.
See, I mean, it's been raining for 3 days. Look how deep that print is. I'm going to step right here, and I'm a good 275, and I'm putting my weight in this thing, trying to get deep, and that's as deep as mine goes, right here.
One of the fire rings hadn't been there a few months ago. They'd been to this exact spot before. This was new. Back near the prints, something else didn't add up. The depth. The team pressed their own weight into the same soft ground and barely left a mark. But the unknown prints sank deep. How? Even in rain-soaked soil, the difference was obvious. More prints led them further in. The stride was massive.
4 across. 10 down.
You can certainly see every toe in there.
Yep, that's a good one.
Every one of them.
Nearly 4 feet from heel to heel. But the prints themselves were only about 9 inches long. That spacing didn't make sense for a person. It just didn't fit. They circled back to the odd fire rings. The fresh ones hadn't been there last time. No burn, no clear purpose, just heavy rocks placed in a circle. Why would anyone do that? In one last spot, they found another strange track. Narrow heels, clear toes, no slide marks. Watch this part.
But that's definitely a very narrow heel for right here. Anyway, I just wanted to show that because it's kind of one of the typical things that we find that doesn't really fit with your standard human track with a heel that narrow. It's very odd.
The track pattern didn't match a normal human print. It was like the heel had pressed straight down without dragging. And near it? A tiny footprint, small, almost like a juvenile. What's your take? Are these tracks something else? Would you walk barefoot in this cold, muddy place? Drop your thoughts below. Let's figure this out. In the rocky hills of South Africa, near the Swaziland border, sits something that pulls people from all over the world. A massive impression. A shape carved deep into the granite. It looks like a footprint. A giant's footprint. Some call it the footprint of God. Some say it's evidence that giants once roamed the earth. Others call it nothing more than a freak coincidence. But when you stand there, when you look at it up close, it's hard to ignore. Watch this part yourself, that size.
But, I don't know if you can see it. It's March 5th. I probably saw it for half a second there. But, anyway, I'm going to talk about something. This actually, somebody requested this. It's the giant's footprint in South Africa.
That curve. The depth of the heel. The way the toes seem to lift out of the rock. It feels impossible. This isn't soft mud or loose dirt. This is granite. Hard. Coarse. Formed billions of years ago, deep inside the earth, under crushing heat and pressure. Granite doesn't capture moments. It doesn't trap footprints. It doesn't freeze time like mud can. For something to leave an imprint this clear, The rock would have needed to be soft. But granite isn't soft. It never was.
Now, this is one of the greatest examples of an ancient footprint, a giant footprint about 4 feet high, in rough granite.
Still, there it is. A perfect footprint, 4 feet tall, pressed into stone. The video's creator takes us deeper. He walks the site, shows us the rock's surface, points out something critical. All around the footprint, the same patterns repeat. Grooves, cracks, weathered shapes that look like peeled layers. Watch here, you can see them.
Notice the weathering pattern in the entire rock in general.
There we have it.
Other shapes that mirror the footprint, but don't look like feet at all. This isn't just about the shape. It's about what the rock tells us. The footprint sits alone. No trail, no left foot, no sequence of steps. Just a single mark on the granite's face. The site is surrounded by ancient rock formations. Formations that have gone through mechanical erosion, the physical breaking apart from wind, rain, and time. And chemical weathering, the slow reaction of minerals breaking down over millions of years. There's more. Granite forms underground. It cools slowly. Crystals grow inside it, locked tight.
I see that people have been visiting here because they've been leaving little coins here, which is wonderful. Maybe just come closer.
The site shows these coarse crystals everywhere, especially near the toes. That's a sign. It means this rock wasn't soft. It means this footprint didn't sink in.
All right, so let's start with Michael's basic claim here. The structure in the granite is a footprint created by a giant. Supporting evidence, it kind of resembles a footprint. Corroborating evidence, absolutely not.
See the crystal patterns. See how weathering can chip and shape the surface, forming ridges that can look like toe lifts, but are natural breaks. The site is famous. People visit. They leave coins, gifts, small tokens by the rock. It feels sacred. It feels mysterious. But is it proof? The more you look, the more the story starts to shift. Across the rock face, the same cracks and ledges repeat. Some almost look like smaller footprints, others form random patterns, carved by millions of years of wind, water, and heat. Granite weathers slowly, but it does weather. Rain gets in, ice expands, the rock exfoliates, layers peel away over time. That's how these shapes form. It's a known process. Look closely here.
By it, and as you can see even at this distance, there's very coarse crystalline structures. So this rock formed deep underground, deep in a magma chamber. Okay, and as you zoom in and get close, you kind of can see here.
When you zoom in, the illusion fades. The edges aren't clean. The toes break down into scattered crystal formations. The heel loses its sharp cut. It becomes just another worn-down piece of stone. Some claim it was carved by ancient people, but there's no sign of tools, no chisel marks, no grinding patterns, just coarse, weathered granite. Could it be a hoax? Could it be something more? Or is it just another natural formation that our minds desperately want to turn into something familiar? Even now, people debate it. What's your take? Did a giant once walk here? Or did nature simply sculpt something that tricks our eyes? Let me know what you believe. Something's not right. Something's different. It begins. The team is back in the woods. They can't shake the feeling. Something's out there, moving, watching, quiet, but present. They press forward, tracking deeper into the forest. Watch this part, right here.
We keep thinking we're hearing something back that way. So we'll see. So we'll keep on going.
The deeper they go, the more they notice. Palm fronds, thick, heavy, impossible to snap by hand, broken clean, not random. These are laid out in patterns, star-like, arranged. It's subtle, but intentional. In the middle of nowhere, they find more. Clusters of palms, snapped and stacked. Palm hearts, the food source, gone, ripped out, not cut, not chewed, torn. Nearby, another palm. Same thing, heart missing. No machete marks, no tracks from hogs. And where are the fronds? In some spots, fronds are carefully set off to the side, stacked like firewood, not scattered, not trampled. Sometimes they find fronds laid out perfectly, like something with hands placed there. Chris and Mark press further. They find another palm, still standing, still intact. Its heart is untouched, still fresh.
And if anybody knows anything about palm fronds, they don't break very easily, but they're arranged in a little bit of a pattern, like in a star pattern.
This one didn't get harvested, not yet. And it's oddly quiet. No birds, no insects, no background sounds, just silence. They pause, listening. Then, a shush, sharp, suddenly, close. Chris didn't make it. It came from the woods ahead, a perfect mimic. It's not the first time they've heard this. Something out there mimics their sounds, their calls, their patterns. They scan the area, but nothing shows itself. Still, that sound stays with them. The woods feel different today. Gun season is open. They heard hunters nearby. Maybe that's why it's so silent. Usually this area is active. Nicks, movement, signs of something. But today, nothing. No knocks, no chatter, no movement. When people enter these woods with guns, activity often vanishes. It's like something chooses to go still, but the team keeps going. They push deeper, searching for signs. Watch closely, strange signpost.
It's very, so we don't like fern swamps for the most part because of the, because it's dangerous trying to cross them.
That's when they find something unusual. 2 large trees, snapped clean, both fresh, both green. The snaps are positioned like a road sign, pointing, directing. It's not rot, it's not decay. These breaks are new. Chris examines them closely.
Well, I didn't do it.
Do you think it's natural?
The trees are still connected at the base. Not fallen, not pushed, snapped high, around 6 feet up. Who could do this? What could do this? The pressure needed to snap these, it's extreme. And these breaks aren't just random. They seem placed, deliberate. Not far from the break, they find a dry creek bed. And there, something else. Something that doesn't belong. A large leg bone. It's fresh, still solid, not stripped, not chewed, no coyote damage, no teeth marks. They inspect it closely. No signs of gnawing. Predators would have picked this clean. But this bone? It's intact. It looks like it was broken off and carried here. But why leave it untouched? It's probably from a calf, but the story doesn't add up. Bones like this don't stay uneaten. Something dragged it out and just left it. Mark flips the bone to check its positioning. The hoof points down. There's no mistake. This is a solid, unbroken limb. No predators nearby, no scavengers. The team is puzzled. Usually, coyotes would have shredded it. But here, it's clean. As if it was broken off, examined and abandoned. Watch this.
All right, here I come. I'm not a bone specialist, but if I were a betting man, I'd say this is there's a hoof on it.
Right here, even more strange. No marrow was taken. Predators usually go for the marrow. But this one, untouched. The team checks for bite marks, teeth marks, scratches. Nothing. Just a bone. Fresh. Left in the middle of the woods. And the forest stays silent. What dragged this limb out?
Well, not only that, but we think this is the rear leg, so as the animal was probably fleeing, something grabbed it. And
yeah, but I just mean in terms of the food source.
What leaves food behind? Is it a message, a sign, or something else entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think they're dealing with? Final clue. See for yourself. White birch, deep in Coy's territory. This is where the stories begin. And today, it felt different. Driving in, something caught his eye. Not even at the destination yet. He spotted something tucked behind the trees. A strange cluster, all birch, stacked, leaning, hidden, just off the road, a possible structure. He paused, took it in, and kept going. The deeper he went, the quieter it got. 15 more minutes down the winding road. The woods seemed to fold in tighter, like something was waiting. Structures scattered just inside the tree line. Not random, not natural. The trail stretched ahead. It was time to go all in. Watch yourself.
Okay, we're here. We're here. I haven't checked on the bull yet. I spent the last 5-10 minutes here whistling, doing some whistles, see if our bull is up or if it's still there, if it's wrecked. You never know. You never know.
The old gifting bowl, still standing. It had survived the weather, the wildlife, but something had happened. He'd spent the last few minutes calling out, sending whistles into the trees. The air was thick. The forest is alive. But not with sound, except something was there. The woods held shadows, watching. And deeper in, something else. There, in the moss. A track, sunken heel, wide toes, deep pressure. Not fresh, but clear. The moss still holds the shape. Could this be Coy's? Check this part. Watch yourself.
Bigfoot track. Right here. Right here. The heel. When you put your fingers in there, you can feel the toe. It's very mossy, right? So, when the heel is way in there, the heel is quite deep. I think so. Huh.
Energy pulsed through the place. It wasn't just quiet. It was that quiet, like the forest was holding its breath. Movement flickered at the edge of vision, just enough to raise every hair. Eyes wide, ears sharp. Something was following, slipping through the trees. The gifts from Coy? Still there, 2 sticks, 1 small, 1 big, leaned against the tree. Untouched, left behind during the last visit, as if placed by Coy himself. Up ahead, another track. Moss pressed down, the heel deep again. The shape is unmistakable. Bigfoot? Or something else that calls White Birch home? Watch this moment. The hike led lower, down a soft hill. Less wind, more silence.
Walk around here a little bit. Yeah, I think that's a Bigfoot track. I can feel it, right? You can feel it in the moss. I'm looking at it again right there. Got really quiet all of a sudden.
Each step felt watched. Suddenly, there it was. A massive birch arch stretching over the path. Not fallen, not random, deliberate. A sign, a marker, or maybe a warning. Then, wood knocks. Behind him, loud, heavy, too close. He froze. The forest closed in. Something was there, right behind him. Something breathing, something real. Play this moment. Watch yourself.
Hello? Something was right behind me. Okay, yeah. So, this would be a very good spot to live stream, or I could post things as I'm here as well.
Going deeper, something moved. Right there. Movement in front, not a trick of the light. Watch this heavy steps echoed behind him. Bigfoot? Could be.
I'm seeing movement here. Right in front of me. Okay, this. I want to show you this. If you notice. Okay.
Flies buzzed around him. Big horseflies, sharp biters. But not a big worry here. No ticks, none of the usual pests. The wood knocks, coming from the direction of a massive birch arch, part of it hidden behind the trees, but the size? Huge. Beautiful. A landmark. The trail opened into a secret clearing, the kind of place where you could walk unseen for miles. He heard it. Grunts. Close. Right near him. He caught more movement. Behind him. Following. Shadowing. Walking when he walked. The ravine? It could take them right back to the road without anyone ever seeing them. Structures popped up around him. Stacked wood, angled breaks, everywhere. It got quiet again. He felt it, being watched. Not just watched, surrounded, but still welcome. This was Koi's home, a beautiful place, a stronghold. Watch here.
I feel like I'm being watched right now. Right now. Man, it's nice here. Koi, you got such a nice home. Such a beautiful place here.
Standing on a great big root, he turned in slow circles. Scanning north, east, south, west.
Okay. North. Right. East. South. And west.
The forest hummed, not the wind, not a plane, a low, steady hum, coming from the trees. Watch here.
I just heard the humming. The humming in the trees.
The mossy ground underfoot felt soft enough to walk barefoot. The forest felt alive, but calm. He felt safe here, relaxed, for today. The quiet held, the gifts remained. He'd return soon. Maybe next time they'd show themselves a little more. Out here there's no easy way out, no cover, no quick escape. Just the cold, the dark, and the feeling that something's watching. Jonathan Odom and his team were deep in it. A narrow path ahead, steep walls rising on both sides. A perfect choke point. If anything wanted to trap them, this was the place. They knew the risks. They knew this was a spot where anything could happen. The air was freezing, but they didn't slow down. They pushed forward, scanning the ridges, hoping for a sign, dreading what might come next. The rocks towered above them, full of blind corners and shadowed shelves.
Where we're going to eventually be, it's going to be about 3 foot wide at the bottom, and it's going to go straight up on both sides of us. It's going to be a place where anything could happen. They could roll something down on us.
They stopped in one area known for strange activity. Watch this part yourself. It's dark, silent. The kind of silence where every small sound snaps through the cold air. They scanned the ridgelines, looking for movement. Something was up there. They could feel it. Heavy steps, something shifting along the rocks.
Alrighty, let's head on. We'll get to a place, guys, in just a second where we'll stop and...
Their cameras caught flickers, but it was hard to lock on. The team kept moving, heads on a swivel. It wasn't just the cold pressing in. It was the tension. It was knowing they were exposed, standing in the open, hoping to see something, hoping not to be seen too soon. Then came the sounds. Scattered rocks, quick thuds, low steps that seemed to shift in and out of reach. They weren't alone. At one point they noticed something strange. A flash on the thermal camera. A figure. Large. It wasn't clear, but it was there, moving across the upper ridges. Watch closely. A solid heat signature. One they couldn't ignore. The terrain boxed them in. Walls of rock on both sides. A place where you either press on or turn back through the same tight corridor. No space to dodge. No quick way out. They pressed forward. Scanning. Listening. Hoping to catch more than just shapes on a screen. The air stayed cold. The cameras rolled.
So this is what we're picking this area. See, if you look right here, there's rock there, there's rock right there. So we're in a small area. You can go dark with the camera going.
Suddenly a rock clattered nearby. A throw. Sharp. Deliberate. Not random. The kind of hit that stops you cold. Watch this moment. It happened again. Steps. Heavy. Moving just out of view. Jonathan's camera caught shadows. Quick. Darting along the rock walls. Hard to track, but there. Shapes shifting behind the corners. They weren't sure what they saw, but it was real enough to keep them pinned. The team had nowhere to go. The path was tight.
Shadow, that's something that darted around this corner.
They were deep inside now, and every step forward meant one step deeper into the unknown. Another rock crashed nearby. Another movement. The pattern was clear now. Something was pacing them, watching them, maybe trying to move them. Watch this final point. There's no room to maneuver, no space to shift. It's a boxed-in stretch, exactly where something could have planned to corner them.
Oh, perfect, because we got nowhere to go. That's exactly right. Hey, we like it.
The tension didn't let up. They scanned. They held their ground. They knew this place offered no easy retreat. The ridges stayed quiet, but the feeling never left. By the end, the team had pushed through. But the experience stayed with them. That cold grip, the echo of footsteps, the rocks that seemed to move on their own. What do you think? Was something really tracking them? Or did the night twist the shadows into something else? Let me know what you believe. What do you think was really caught on these cameras? Hoax, animal, or proof that something unknown is watching? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit like if this gave you chills, and subscribe for more real footage you're not supposed to see. Because the trail cameras, they're still rolling. What kind of creature willingly dives into alligator-infested waters, only to vanish without a trace? And what if it wasn't human, not a bear, but something we're not supposed to believe exists? It was a quiet January afternoon in the Florida swamplands. The stillness of Lettuce Lake Park, a 240-acre stretch of dense wetland northeast of Tampa, was broken only by the paddle strokes of a lone canoeist. Matt, the man behind the camera, wasn't expecting anything unusual that day. He was drifting slowly through backwater channels, his eyes watching for birds, maybe a few deer, but what he found left him shaken. A dark figure appears along the bank. It seems upright, vaguely bear-like. But the more it moves, the more that theory falls apart. The arms swing too long, the stride too deliberate. It wades through waist-deep swamp like a trained swimmer, undeterred by the thick roots and silt-heavy waters. Matt did what anyone with a pulse and a phone would do. He started filming. He assumed at first it was a bear, perhaps disoriented or desperate. But Lettuce Lake isn't known for bears. In fact, park rangers had warned that bears avoid the area entirely, likely due to the high population of gators and venomous snakes. If it was a human, it wasn't acting like one. And if it wasn't a bear, the question gets more complicated. Matt emailed his footage to the Bigfoot Evidence YouTube channel, the long-standing archive for strange sightings across North America. The video, which arrived on January 15, 2015, was published just days later, an unedited, raw glimpse into something no one can explain. What strikes most viewers isn't just the form of the creature, but its behavior. It doesn't hesitate. It moves through the swamp like it belongs there.
Let's go.
Watch yourself. The figure looks up, not directly at the camera, but towards something in the direction of Matt's canoe. Then, without warning, it begins to drift into deeper water. It lowers itself, gradually submerging until its entire body disappears below the surface. There's no splashing, no panic, just a calculated descent, until nothing remains but ripple trails in the dark green water. Matt paddled forward, cautiously, but the creature was gone. There were no bubbles, no shape underwater, no sign of where it went. And this wasn't a wide lake with hiding spots. This was a tight, shallow, gator-infested corner of the swamp, a place where nothing dives unless it knows exactly what it's doing. Skeptics were quick to offer explanations. A man in a suit, a lost animal, a trick of light. But Matt's concern was genuine. In his email, he emphasized that no sane person would voluntarily walk and dive through that part of the swamp. Not with the risk of 12-foot alligators lurking underfoot, or water moccasins curled beneath the reeds. The footage slows slightly. You can see the texture of the creature's arms as it emerges from the thick brush. There's no fur matting like a bear, no reflective gear like a human diver, just long, matte dark limbs, moving with heavy grace. The proportions don't fit any known species in the region, and no zoo or wildlife authority ever reported anything loose in the area. Was it the fabled skunk ape of Florida lore? Or something else? Something undocumented? The swamp holds its secrets close. This encounter, sent not by a hunter but a casual witness with no agenda, forces us to reconsider what might still roam America's wild pockets. Not everything leaves tracks. Not everything makes a sound. But once you see something like this, you don't forget it. Matt's final words linger. Certainly can't explain it myself. If you believe something unknown still calls the Florida wilderness home, or if you've seen anything like this with your own eyes, let us know in the comments. Subscribe to Bigfoot Evidence for real footage, real witnesses, and real questions that demand answers. Because out there in the forgotten corners of the swamp, legends don't stay buried. They walk, swim, and disappear. It begins with stillness, the kind of quiet only deep forest roads can hold. No distant engines, no human presence. Just the soft rustle of trees and the rhythmic hum of wind pressing through pine. A man stands far outside the tree line, recording a seemingly uneventful forest scene. He doesn't know it yet, but his lens has captured something extraordinary. Something upright, something black, and completely unaware it's being watched. At first it appears as just another trunk, dark, motionless, but something about it draws the eye. The proportions are off, wider at the top, tapering into a distinct shoulder line. It doesn't sway with the wind. It doesn't blend completely with the tree bark. And then the realization hits. It's not a tree at all. Watch yourself there, behind a curtain of pine and brush. A black, upright figure stands, no movement, no acknowledgement. As if carved into the forest itself. But the contours are too defined. The head, shaped with a subtle slope. The torso, broad and uniform. And most chilling of all, the arms hanging unnaturally long at its sides. The footage, uploaded by the channel Bigfoot's Testimony, carries no commentary, no dramatization, just raw documentation. And in its simplicity lies the weight of truth. The witness never enters the forest. He never calls out. Whether from instinct or awe, he simply films and lets the evidence speak for itself. The creature doesn't react. It remains fixed behind the thickest part of the tree cover, its posture eerily neutral. Most encounters, if they're even real, feature a fleeing subject, startled by human presence. But not this one. This creature, whatever it is, doesn't know it's being watched. That's what makes this sighting different. And that's what makes it terrifying. Zoomed in, the silhouette becomes undeniable. No fur texture is visible at this range, but the shape is unmistakable. Bipedal, dense, and tall. Its head doesn't move. Neither does the body. It's not reacting because it doesn't know. It's simply existing in the moment, perfectly still, camouflaged in plain sight. There's something about the footage that lingers. Perhaps it's the contrast between distance and proximity. From where the man is standing, the forest is serene. But just beyond the first few rows of trees, something primeval watches the woods. Or perhaps guards them. Texas, the Pacific Northwest, Appalachia, each region has its share of reports. But it's these fleeting, accidental glimpses that grip the public imagination. Not stories told around fires or blurry trail cams. It's the unintentional captures, the chance alignments between human and unknown, that keep the search alive. The figure eventually shifts, subtly. Not enough to catch if you're not looking, but the foliage near its side seems to compress. The arm, perhaps, pressing against branches as the body leans or slightly repositions. And then, just as fast, it stills once more. The shape softens into the forest shadows as the camera pulls back. A moment frozen, 1,000 questions raised, and not one answered. So what stood behind those trees that day? So still, so unaware, and so deeply camouflaged within its element? Could it be the legendary Bigfoot, observing in silence? Or was it something else entirely? Something native to the forest, but foreign to us? Before you decide, watch again. Look beyond the obvious. Follow the shadows. The truth, as always, is in the stillness. Share your thoughts below, and if you believe in revealing what lies beyond the trail, subscribe and stay with us, because the forest doesn't always keep its secrets. 6 stories, 6 encounters, and 1,000 questions left unanswered. From thermal footage capturing something impossible on a remote American highway, to the ruins of a fishing village in Alaska where something stalked and killed without mercy, each moment leaves us with the same unsettling thought. If this creature is just a myth, why does it keep showing up? The people who've seen it didn't go looking for monsters. They were driving home, camping, working, living, just like you. But something found them anyway. Maybe Bigfoot isn't hiding from us. Maybe it's always been right there, just out of reach, just out of focus, waiting for the next story. And if these 6 were real, how many more have gone untold?